Welcome back to the Death Row and Executions channel. My name is Paco Rivera. You can also follow me on Facebook for updates and more Death Row news. There will be a link to my Facebook in the description below. Robert Doyle Laminack opened the Amarillo Floor Company store in Amarillo, Texas, along with his brother in the year 1950. A business dealing mostly in flooring products and services. Here, Robert, known more as Bob, is seen behind a counter in the store alongside his wife, Gwen. 8 years later, in 1958, Bob bought out his brother's share of the business, and along with his wife, Gwen, they continued running the store together until the year 1990, when Bob retired. Apparently, although Bob was retired, he had continued to visit the store on occasion because he was there earlier on the day that he was murdered. That same year of 1990, when he had retired several months earlier. On April 26th, 1990, 33 years ago, Bob was outside the store when he was approached by a young couple, 19-year-old Brent Ray Brewer and his girlfriend, Krystie Nystrom, who was 21, seen here in a photo taken some time later. Brewer and Nystrom met while attending a drug rehab facility. Nystrom also worked for a time as a topless dancer. Brewer and Nystrom asked Bob if he would give them a ride to the Salvation Army office. The young couple surely appeared to Bob as a couple of harmless teenagers, and the older man was kind enough to give them the ride to the Salvation Army office in his pickup truck. A short time into the drive, however, Brewer asked Bob to pull over for a moment. Brewer then took out a knife and repeatedly stabbed the older man to death. According to forensic experts that investigated the crime scene, it appears the killer was seated in the back seat behind Bob and reached forward to stab the victim in the neck several times. The girlfriend, Nystrom, was seated beside the victim, Bob, in the front passenger seat. The couple then removed $140 from the dead man's wallet and made their way to the apartment of a friend. That friend would later testify that Brewer and Nystrom had arrived at the home and changed out of their bloody clothing and departed a short time later. As it turns out, when Brewer was stabbing Bob Lamac, his right hand slipped across the blade and he suffered a very deep gash in the palm of his hand and was taken to the hospital. Several acquaintances that Brewer and Nystrom encountered after the murder, including the man that drove them to the hospital, would later testify that Brewer had bragged about killing an old man for $140, saying things such as, "The old man kept repeatedly saying to me, 'Please don't kill me, please don't kill me,' as he was being stabbed." Even the girlfriend, Krystie Nystrom, during a second trial, had testified that Brewer had a big smile or smirk on his face while he was killing the old man. After leaving the hospital, both Brewer and Nystrom went on the run. It's not clear in the reports, but after discovering the body of Bob Lamac slumped over onto the steering wheel of his pickup truck, investigators may have put two and two together after learning of the patient at the hospital with the deep gash wound to his hand, or one of the many acquaintances that Brewer had bragged to may have alerted authorities. 12 days after the murder, on May 8, 1990, Brent Brewer and Krystie Nystrom were tracked to Red Oak, Texas, where they were captured and arrested. Both Brewer and Nystrom were tried for the murder and both were found guilty. Krystie Nystrom was sentenced to life in prison, and Brent Brewer, as we know, was sentenced to death. On appeal, that first trial for Brewer was overturned, and in a second trial in the year 2009, he was found guilty again and sentenced to death again. He is scheduled to be put to death in Texas on November 9th of this year. The floor business that Bob Lamac started in the year 1950 amazingly continues to flourish to this day in Amarillo, and it remains in the family. as Bob and Gwen's now grown children and grandchildren have kept it going. I sent a message to the Amarillo Floor Company Facebook page. I offered my condolences, and I asked if they would consider providing me with a few more pictures and some nice words about Bob Lamac, but all I got back about a second later was an immediate automated reply saying that they will get back to me, but they never did. So I suppose they have declined to participate in this presentation. Please remember to subscribe for more death row and upcoming execution stories. You can also follow me on Facebook for updates and more death row news. There will be a link to my Facebook in the description below. I'm Paco Rivera. Bye for now.